All right, we are underway for this special session this evening. Great to have you on board and looking forward to a jam-packed session over the next 45 or 50 minutes. We've got a really hot topic. I think it'll be a hot topic for some time in the trading construction industry at the moment, and it's about how do we attract, develop, and retain the best people in the industry. So this is a topic that ProTrade United has been working with our clients, our industry leaders on very closely with over the last 3 to 4 years as the talent pool continues to shrink and dry up. And I've got a bit of data around that, not too much data today that I'm going to share with you, but we want to get straight in and give you some great take-home tools that you can utilize in your business immediately to retain the best you've got, attract the quality that's out there and become an industry leader at the same time. So we're going to dive straight into it. There's a little chat box there and the opportunity this evening to type in where you're from, where you're located, what sort of business that you're involved with, and possibly any challenges that you have around, you know, keeping and hiring the best people in your industry as well. And as we go through sharing some of the learnings that will take place along the way. Um, my name's John Mailer. I'm the CEO of ProTrade United. We started this business over 10 years ago now to support business owners in the trade and construction space to become industry leaders. I'll share a touch more about that very shortly. Yet that's really our gig. How do we help you guys win in your journey in business? So the session this evening, just to check that you're in the right place, yeah, is about how to think differently about hiring because there is a default way to hire. Chuck a seek ad on, hope for the best, and see what comes through. Not always the best can work, but not always the best. What are the mistakes? It could be costing you business in money in your business. How do we create a simple game plan for hiring the best? How do you keep the best and keep them long term? But most importantly, this is all about raising the standards and becoming an industry leader in your organization as well. So some of the headlines, the bullet points around the trading construction industry at the moment is that for every 6 people leaving the industry right now, only one person is joining. So think about it. People are retiring, the baby boomers that were the majority of the population for the last 25 years and now retiring, or their bodies are giving up and they're looking for alternative ways to generate some income. On the other scale of things, only one person's joining, and apprenticeship commencements are down 11% year on year. So that is not sustainable, particularly with, the government's goal to deliver 60,000 homes a month over the next 5 years. Skills Australia says we need another 90,000 in that space. Well, where are they going to come from? And that's really the key. So the shortage is real. Yeah. The shortages will persist, but really what it is about the talent pipeline because it's not about skills shortage right now. It's about what's coming through, what's going to feed that, and what can we do to nurture that. And ProTrades United's really committed to creating a space where industry leaders create a great culture, create a great environment for the future of our industry to really thrive. And that's a generational, intention. Yeah, but it's got to start somewhere. So really, hiring and keeping great people is becoming your competitive edge. And there'll be no shortage of work over the next 10 years, but it will be limited by the capacity to be able to deliver the work through a shortage of people. And what that requires is a shift in leadership. And the businesses that build the best teams and culture in this situation will capture the opportunities as we go through. So that's as much data as I'm going to share with you guys. I don't want to get too much into the nitty gritty, yet really it's working with what's the root cause and what can we be responsible for in our organizations to support that. So who we are. So we've been working in the trading construction space as advisors to industry leaders for over 10 years. And really it's helping those businesses and those owners become, the industry leader and transition from being a working owner to that space. And there's some areas that we love to work with organizations on in stabilizing and streamlining, scaling or stepping out. For some of you on the call, you've seen and you've heard some of our content before. If this is your first time, welcome along. It's great to have you in this space. That's the spectrum that we've worked with our clients on, where they transition from being often 100% hands-on to 0% hands-on, building value and revenue growth along the way. And we specifically work with them with a pathway and a measured, structured pathway that deals with 7 pillars. And this is the underpinning support from identity orientation, how you think about your business, your financial acumen and confidence, how you perceived in the marketplace, the value that you offer, how do you make decisions, how comfortable are you in delegating, and last but not least, but very importantly, what's your influence in the leadership space. So that's how we work with clients. We've got some great content out there. Not Just a Tradie is a great book that you can download through the following channels online there, and a great snapshot of the simple tools that you can put in place, because we don't see that you are a tradie. You're an amazing human being who just happens to run a business in the trade and construction industry as well. Some of the events that we run, some of the clients that we work with, a lot of husband and wife teams. We run in-person events several times through the year, as we work with clients from as far northwest as the top of WA, right down to the bottom end of the South Island of New Zealand as well. But that's a little bit about us. Tonight, we're going to also provide you with a great tool. This is a 22-page document that we've created to help you make decisions around what is the next best hire in your business. What's the processes to go through? What's the return investment that you can expect? How soon do you expect to get that return on investment for salaries, on costs, trainings, inductions, etc.? So we're going to provide that for you. It's an e-guide and some great tools to be able to play with there, and you'll get that as part of being part of this session this evening. Now, this is a line that I shared with some of our clients the other day that was a little confronting. The truth is that your next hire, from my perspective anyway, could make you $200,000 or it could cost you $200,000. The cost of a mishire. Think about that. If you've ever hired someone before who hasn't worked out, has been like the devil, has been the cancerous individual, not only has it cost you the salary, but it's cost you the energy, the focus, the fix-up, the cleanups required. Or on the flip side, the right hire in your business could make you $200,000 in the next 12 months. You put them to work, they deliver great work, great outcomes, regardless of the role, whether it's on the tools, estimator, project manager, foreman, in the office. Yeah, they could assist you to make $200,000, but you get to choose the structures in what we pay for and work with there as well. All right. As we go. Now, the challenge that I'll share is that in the industry, everyone tends to do what everybody else is doing. They are like sheep. They tend to look at what the majority of people are doing and they follow that. But that gets them average results. That gets them the results that everybody else is experiencing. So what I'm going to suggest is we do things a little differently. We challenge the status quo. And this is the way that we work with our clients at Pro Trade United. First and foremost, we have to acknowledge some of the mistakes. Now, the mistakes that we see that keep showing up week after week are, number one, there's an amateur approach. It's reactive. Yeah. Who do I need on the team next week? I'm short someone. We've got this big job coming up. Hopefully I can get them started. Have they got a tool belt? Have they got a pulse? Great. Let's start them as soon as possible. So there's a reactive approach versus a professional approach, which we'll talk about, which is thinking about who would you like on your team in 6 to 9 to 12 months' time, and let's start that process today. There is no process, which is the second part. It's let's pop an ad, because that's what most people do on the job boards, such as Seek and Indeed, and we'll then sift through a bunch of resumes and try and work out who best fits, who we're looking for. And hiring is a combination of art and science and guesswork and some psychology. And in the end, you're never 100% certain until someone's been on the team. I think at least 3 months. So there's no process. So we're going to share with you a process this evening. And the other big mistake is let's just get someone who's got the skills. Now, the mistake that you're making there is, from my experience, skills is one thing, but it's the bad attitude and the cancerous behavior that costs the business in the long term. So if you've ever had an employee that's not performing, let me ask you this question. What is it about their performance that's keeping you up at night? Is it their lack of skills? Yeah. Or is it their poor behavior? You know the answer to that one. So that's a mistake that happens. And one thing that I want you to sort of just remind yourself of is that the best people are always employed. The best people have already got a career or a position in an organization, and they're not out there on Seek every weekend looking for opportunities. They will only start looking for opportunities when they start to feel disenchanted, disengaged, maybe a bit disgruntled in their current position. You just need to be the organization that they're willing to apply for when the time is right. So it's not easy. I'm not saying this game is. We can keep it fairly simple, but what I'd encourage you to do is continue to look at the standards in your organization. I want you to think like an A player. A player, top of the tree, great attitude, great skills. They want to continue to challenge themselves. They want to rise up. They want to meet the standards. So that's really important for yourself as a leader in your organization. Yeah. Really important as a leader to keep asking yourself the question, am I raising the standards? Am I raising my own personal standards? Am I setting the benchmark in my organization? Because that's going to attract the best moving forward. So here we go. We're going to roll up the sleeves. And I said there's jam-packed tonight. And even if you leave with just 2 or 3 key things to do differently and challenge yourself with, it's going to be a great session. So here we go. Number one, we want to think long-term. We want to think big, but start small. We want to think, how do you want your team structure to look in 12 months' time? What are the roles that you're wanting to start thinking about? As you, maybe as the business owner, may be physically involved in a lot of different roles, what are you going to let go of first? Is it the office? Is it the estimating? Is it the pricing? Is it the technical work? Let's start mapping out and planning for what that team structure is going to look like down the track. The next high decision framework that I'm sharing with you is going to be a great part of that. Yeah. So I want to think long term. The professional football teams start the scouting journey years in advance. They start looking at the under 10s, 12s, 14s, 16s to see who they want on their team several years down the track. So they start thinking around that. And that's part of what an industry leader does. They don't think week to week, day to day. They think and allocate time to look at who are the future team players going to be. Secondly, we want to start from the inside out. What I mean by that, we're going to clean up our own backyard first. A graders will not want to come and work in an environment which has got poor culture, no structure, limited opportunities. So we want to make sure we want to clean up and work there first. And what I mean by that is the things that you put in place to retain your best people are exactly the things that are important to attract the best. A players will come to an organization really clear about what they want to be part of, the type of organization, the setup, the structure. So that's where we have to start. A point of difference, what has you stand out from other organizations in your space? If you've got an A player who has a choice of 3 roles, money is important, but it's not the most important. So what else are you offering that sets you apart? We'll have a look at that as well. We want to think about attracting versus recruiting. Recruiting is about anybody who's got a pulse. Attracting is about being a magnetic organization that creates a waiting list. And last but not least, this is all part of a great recipe. A recipe has ingredients and has a methodology. Package that together. You can repeat it over and over again versus winging it. Yeah. Reactiveness as well. So here we go. That's where we want to play from the goal. And this should say number one, start from the inside out. So number one, we want to have a look at is who you're showing up to be as a leader. And leadership is underpinning these days the organizations that are building amazing culture. Now, every business has a culture, by the way. It's just whether it's supporting the business to achieve its goals or it's not. Yeah. So a culture can be created by design or it just is unfolds by default. I'm going to suggest you get the opportunity to create with some conscious leadership, which is about being aware of how you're showing up, to have a vision, which is a direction of where you're going, and some values around how you play the game. Yeah. So think about, A players. One of the interview questions I'm going to suggest an A player will ask you is, what's the vision for your business? Where are you going? And what are the core values that, are part of your organization that I'll be playing with if I come on board? And if you don't have a vision, if you don't have a core values, and it doesn't matter what they are, by the way, let's not too get wrapped up in the perfectiveness of it. It's just having something which is standing you apart from other organizations. We've got to clean out your existing team. Yeah. And I'm going to show you a little tool in a moment, which is going to help you with that. You've got to get rid of the weeds. An A player is not going to come and want to walk in there where you've got disgruntled or whinging, moaning, complaining team players. Okay. You're better off having less team players that are all aligned with where you're going than just filling places on the bus with people who aren't. And you want to help people see that they've got a career with your organization, not a job. This isn't just 9 to 5, get to the weekend, get a paycheck, and we'll see you Monday. Career has a journey, it has a pathway. So already can you start to see you thinking differently about how you show up is going to make such a difference. Yeah, you're not the boss anymore. And this is going to require you to lean into your comfort zone. Yeah, lean into growing your skills and abilities. And as I said, if there's one skill set earlier on that over the next 5 to 7 years is going to help set you apart from other organizations, is your ability to become an amazing leader, someone who is consciously aware of how they're showing up each and every day, build a great culture because the culture will lead the commercial. Guide and support people to be the best within your organization as well. The culture leads the commercial, not the other way around. So one of the key things here as a conscious leader is own it all. Okay. You can either whinge and moan about the people that you've got on your team. Yeah. Or you can go, yep, I hired them and I'm going to recreate what I've got. Quality of the work that you do and the profits you generate are always a byproduct of the culture that you've got. So remember, the environment either creates collaborative improvements or individual separation and position protection. And the last part here is building a space where people can feel safe. And emotionally safe is the gig. And let's tell the truth here, not many business owners in the trading construction industry are taught and guided how to be an authentic, vulnerable leader that creates a space where people can show up and be the same. You create that and you have got the gold in a recipe to create an environment where people want to play each and every day. So I said I'd share with you a little tool. It's a little tool, but it's the most powerful tool to help you establish where your existing team players are. Now, in this matrix, we have what we call the attitudes and values. Have they got the right attitude? Are they a match for the values of your organization? And do they have the skills and can they produce the results? So simply, the A player, which we're talking about, and there's degrees of A players because you can have this line that goes up on a diagonal angle to the top right-hand corner. An A player shows up each and every day, owns their role, wants to do their very best, wants to learn and grow, and has the skills and can deliver the results. Yeah, that's what we call the A player. The B player is someone who has the attitudes, has the values, like the enthusiastic apprentice, yet doesn't quite have the skills just yet. Yeah? Can't quite produce the results yet could with the right training and guidance over time. We have the C player, and the C player is someone who often has the skills and the abilities, but they're disgruntled. They've been around a while. They're like the entitled 60-year-old who hasn't changed with the time, whinges, moans, and complains. It doesn't have to be 60, by the way, they could be 30. And that's what we call the C player. They're cancerous. They're like the weeds in your garden. They go unnoticed until they've got everything else by the roots. And they're the ones that infect the rest of the organization. And then we have the duds. And these don't have the skills, they don't have the values, and they're a mishire in the first place. So we've got to groom our Bs into As. We want to get rid of the Ds immediately. They are costing you money. And you either want to elevate the Cs back to As, because that is possible with the right conversations, or you've just got to cut them loose. Now, the way to know whether you cut them loose or not is you ask this question. If I was to start my organization again from scratch, would I enthusiastically hire this person? The key word is enthusiastically hire this person. Yeah. And if the answer is yes, well, then look at ways to support them. If the answer is no, you've got to get rid of them. This is simple, it's powerful, and it works. So you've got to make sure that you are cleaning house. You've got to begin from the inside out, if that makes sense. Beautiful. So part of crafting a career and creating a place where people want to show up is showing interest in them. So you may want to do a screenshot of these 7 questions, but these are the questions that we recommend you ask your team players to find out what's important to them. I'm not going to run through each and every one of these, but by showing interests in them, rather than having, departure conversations, have stay conversations. Show interest in them as human beings. And guess what? They will want to show up and commit to you. So craft a career, not a job. And again, this is the inside out. This is what A players are looking for. Have a point of difference. So why should the A player come and work with you? A point of difference. Well, this is we pay above award rate. Well, I'm going to say that is expected these days, paying above the award. But these are the other things to consider that could be attractive to the A player, depending on their own individual situation. We've got some clients who are now doing 4-day weeks. And we won't go into the how-to just yet, but tell you what, if it's possible for them to make it work, it's possible for you, or a 9-day fortnight. We've got some clients who provide extended annual leave. So 1 extra week for every 2 years, up to a maximum of another 4 weeks. So we've got some organizations that are providing up to 8 weeks annual leave. They have health and wellness allowances, which gives them an allowance of up to $750, $1,000 to use towards massage, physio, the gym membership. Same thing for a personal growth allowance, going on and getting support from financial advisors, learning how to do public speaking, parenting, and leadership, those types of soft skills. Access to confidential helplines if you're having any mental health challenges. One-on-one mentoring with some of the senior team players to help create some life plans and some goals. Family culture days, barbecues, going to the park, getting the kids together, food, music, etc. And also thinking about creating some community projects where you get free use of the services and the tools and the materials for meaningful projects in the community. So there's some things to consider if you're looking at a point of difference in the organization. A graders love this type of thing. So Michael and Sam, 2 A graders that run MV Tiling on the Melbourne Mornington Peninsula. Every Friday morning, they have a barbecue. So they have a dozen or more on their team right now. They meet in the factory. Michael jumps on the barbecue. They're bacon and egg rolls. They bring together not only their team, and they have a structured rhythm and get together, but once a month, they also allow their family members to come along, kids before school, to have a bacon and egg burger. So it brings the community together as well as others suppliers at the same time. So again, these guys, just a couple of knockabout tilers and doing great things to become industry leaders as well. So think about retention. Okay. Think about this. If you want to hire the best, you've got to retain the best first. So every team player needs a growth pathway, even if it's an informal conversation. Conduct stay interviews, not just exit ones. Those questions I had previously are the ones that are important to ask. So recognition is part of your routine. So you've got weekly meetings, you've got acknowledgements, rewards, thank yous. You're upskilling your team to either technical skills or leadership capabilities, and you're checking in on each team player's well-being in the last month, not just their performance. So I want you to think about those. How are you showing up as a leader? Okay, this isn't just about hiring. This is creating the amazing environment where the best want to come to play. Think about that from a sporting analogy. The best players want to go and play in the teams that are performing the best as well. Step number 4, guys, we want to think about attracting versus recruiting. So recruiting, as I said earlier, was about how the military recruit. They go around to the low socioeconomic areas of the country, people who are unemployed, and they want to give some structure and opportunity for. Okay, that's what happens in that space. We want to attract, which means you've got to start educating your current team on who you want to, have come on board. Possibly incentivize your existing team to support you with this. You want to make sure that you have great website and socials, because great players will come to your website and check out your socials to see what you're doing, what sort of environment does it look like. And you've got a great network of suppliers and other trades that you can continually talk to about who you want to attract to your organization. So let's have a look at some alternatives. And again, I'm just planting some seeds here for you to consider doing differently. So ensure that you're actively visible on social media, showcasing your team, culture, jobs you're working on, wins with clients, what's happening with the team behind the scenes. Yeah. Have someone on your team, if it's not you, responsible for doing that. You want to keep your team engaged in looking for the best people and also make it worth their while. So here's a friend of mine runs Gallant Plumbing in Brisbane, in Melbourne, sorry, Ed Clark. And this is what they have as a reward for any team player that brings up and introduces a team player to the organization. Yeah. So if they stay for a minimum of 3 months, okay, you'll get $2,000 as a little bonus. So here's the thing. The benefit about having your existing team look for the best is that they won't refer any duds. Yeah. And so they'll be actively, when the weekend barbecue conversation comes up and says, "Hey, mate, what do you do?" The conversation is really about, "Hey, listen, this is where I work. Oh, what's that like? Yeah, it's fantastic. Oh, that sounds like a great place. Have you got any jobs going?" Certainly. Let me put you in contact with the right people. So you want your network looking for. So connect with TAFE, schools, these traineeship programs that are available to build the future pipeline for your organization. Remember, this isn't a one and done. This is not, "I tried that once." This is something that if you are really wanting to connect with options, and this is what it's about, it's building the funnel, just like marketing, it's building the pipeline of possibility, then start this active work on a regular basis. Look at some alternative channels to seek, or indeed, that could be opportunities for you to attract, and have ads or talent pipelines running even when you're fully staffed. So the thing is, you want to always be looking, always be on the lookout for great quality people. Yeah. You may not want to hire them or employ them right now, but you're creating that waiting list as you go through. Now, the last part here is, how do we bring this all together into a process? So there's 5 key components of this process. Number 1, you've got to know who you want. And what I mean by that, you've got to be really clear about the attributes. Now, one of the activities we do with clients is, when we are doing some work on who their next hire is, we ask the question, what are the attributes of the ideal team player? And this is what usually comes up. Oh, we want them to be punctual, presents well, positive, focused, energetic, enthusiastic, proactive, willing to learn, right down through to clean and tidy, extra mile, follows directions, hardworking, eye for detail. Now, if you had someone who shows up like that, would you give them a go? Would you give them a crack? Of course you would, because they're willing to learn. They may have the base level of qualifications that you need. Now, when we have a look at all of those, they either fit into skills, attitude, or a bit of both. When I do this activity every time, 90 to 95% of the attributes that are employer is looking for are based on attitude. 5% or less is skills. So how do you hire for attitude if the majority of people just say send through a resume? Well, we look for ways to test attitude straight up front. So this is all about qualification. Yeah. I'm going to suggest you create an application process. A graders will enjoy this. They'll go, this is different. This is unique. This is something that I want to be part of. Yeah. So in this situation, you're not asking for a resume. You're asking for information that usually is not put on a resume, which is the details of salary, supervisor, how they would rate you. What did you like? What didn't you like? Why did you leave? Yeah. Any other comments? And if you get that for the last 3 or 4 roles that they've had, that's a starting point that's going to give you a bit more information than a resume would. By the way, if you ask for an application and people aren't prepared to fill in this information, what does that tell you? They weren't the right fit for you anyway. Maybe they're concerned about what they may have to share or what you may find out. So having a qualification process is super important. Yeah. So know what you want, know who you want, sell the opportunity. So what are the benefits of working with your organization? That's what I said. What's your point of difference? What's your point of difference? Qualify tough, make them apply, and then have the interview and have the offer at the end. So Matt and Adam, a couple of A-grade business owners, industry leaders, business of the year winners with us over the last couple of years. They've grown their team from 3 or 4 to well over 60 in the last couple of years, and they have a rigorous hiring process. Does it catch everyone all the time? No. Do they still have some mishires? Yes, but that's business. But they're refining and fine-tuning all the time, every time. And that's what this whole journey is about. Yeah. This whole journey that we've been through tonight is about. So I've chatted a lot in the last 35 minutes. I've shared a lot as well. Just have a pause at the moment and think about what is the value that I can see? What are the things that we've put in place or you can put in place to assist you to keep best people, build your culture that attracts A players down the track? So as I mentioned, this is a great little tool that you'll receive by being part of the session, and it will help you identify the capability and the capacity of the organization right now, what the next hire needs to be, and how to generate a return on your investment as quickly as possible. And this will show you how that can take place. Now, what's really interesting is that the information that I've shared tonight, obviously there's some common sense. Intellectually, business owners will go, you know what? Sounds good. I agree with it. Nod the head, get excited about what's possible. Yeah. But know that that's the thing they should do. But what gets in the way is life. And there's nothing wrong with that as well. But what I want to share with you, are you up for the journey? Are you committed to becoming a business and an organization and a leader that takes full ownership of the quality of the people that it attracts moving forward, regardless of how many people are out there? And if you are, then I think what we'd love to do is sit down with you and have a conversation. So what we got available for those who are on the session tonight is the opportunity to sit down with one of our team and have a look at what is happening in your organization right now. And in particular, what's happening with your hiring, your culture, your leadership. And if there's a way that we can support you moving forward, we can point you in the right direction. If we can't, we can make some other recommendations as well. We have a really cool diagnostic tool which really understands the reality of the situation and also some of the potential barriers that we have available. So what I'm going to do here is we have a little questionnaire. And what I'd love you to do, if you can see on your screen right now, is the opportunity to sit down with one of our team. It takes about an hour, have a chat, evaluate where you're at in your organization. see if we can point you in the right direction. If not, that's okay. But at least you've got some clarity around where you're at and what you're up for moving forward. So if that sounds like you, please tick yes. If you're unsure, that's okay. And if it's no, no thanks, click that as well. No right or wrong, good or bad, but I think just being part of this session tonight has given me the indication that you're up for something a little different in your business. You're up for something that is different to the norm as well. Yeah. All righty. Well, listen, we have had a jam-packed sort of 40 minutes. It's flown past. Um, if you've got any questions, listen, please type away into the chat box. Love to hear from you. If there's anything else you'd like to support with, please reach out with the end for the team. And we'd love to support you moving forward. My name's John Mailer. It's been great to have you part of this session. And moving forward, all the very best, making a difference to your team, to your clients, and most importantly, to the trade and construction industry. Yeah. I'm just checking here if we have a question there. Thanks for a great session. Good on you. Thanks so much. Loved having you part of the session, guys, and we will talk to you very soon.